Hey everybody, Lee Odess here with the Access Control Executive Brief, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to have a conversation with two people in a company that I've gotten to know over the years. Personally, like the people behind the company, like the product, liked everything they've done. So it's pretty meaningful to have this opportunity to have a conversation with, frankly, two people that started a lot of what you're seeing in the trends and the changes that are happening specifically in multifamily and then also in commercial. So, with that, I want to welcome Cyrus and Aaron. Thank you both very much for being here. Both of you are instrumental in what's happened at ButterflyMX. Both of you have actually, at different parts throughout my career, we've touched at different areas and through. So, it's been fun to watch your journeys through with this, and personally excited for you all of what's ahead. And just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and do this. So why don't we kick it off with just introduce yourselves real quick, and then we'll jump into what the news is.
Great. I'll start, and then Cyrus, you jump in. Aaron Rudenstine, I'm the CEO of ButterflyMX. I have been in the technology world for over 20 years. I joined ButterflyMX 7 years ago as a board member, and then 5 years ago as the CEO. I met Cyrus through one of Cyrus's earliest investors. And Cyrus is, by the way, the founder. He's going to introduce himself in a minute, but I met him through one of his earliest investors. And back in 2016, 2017, Cyrus and I built a relationship that then blossomed into a board relationship and now an operational relationship. And I couldn't be more thrilled about it and proud to be part of the organization.
Thank you, Aaron. And Cyrus?
Yeah, great to be here with you, Lee, and to kind of, have Aaron and I talk to you about what's going on at ButterflyMX and announce some exciting news. So my background is I've actually been in PropTech about 20 years. I'd like to say that like the last 5 or 6 have actually been fun. So coincides with Aaron taking the CEO mantle. It started out with this idea of doing a geek squad for the real estate industry. And so that was kind of a glorified term for an integration company, but focused on the real estate industry. And that was a great learning experience. And while I got away with my shirt, the main thing was that I had the idea for ButterflyMX and knew enough about the industry, the stakeholders, what was needed to basically create ButterflyMX. And, the rest is what we're going to tell you about today.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll jump into also, I guess, some questions too, like you mentioned, because I think these sort of founder stories and evolution of the businesses, it's all also important to what's going on here. So,
Sure.
So why don't we jump into that? So, what's the news?
The news. Why are we here? So we recently closed on a significant growth equity investment from FTV Capital, who led the round and is the primary investor, with participation from Fifth Wall and Lead Edge Capital. These are 3 of the premier investment firms in the technology space with a great track record. They are firms that we've gotten to know pretty well, actually, over several years. And this was the right time for us and the right time for them for us to join forces and to partner. The transaction recently closed, so we're now in the process of making it public. The catalyst of the transaction was intended to expand our opportunities in different markets, expand our product development, accelerate the efforts that we already have underway, and to help us maintain and solidify one of the leading positions in the space that we've built over time.
Well, first off, congratulations. I mean, I know that's a lot of work that goes into something like that happen, and it doesn't happen by accident either. So I appreciate what you've done there, and I want to recognize that. I guess the other question I guess I would have is understanding that, and your growth has been somewhat well documented. You've been open with it. You've seen it at SIC and other places, and frankly, just people walking around cities, they see the growth, which is actually unique about your product compared to a lot of others. Is that a lot of people are on the inside of the buildings, you're on the outside. You see these screens. You walk around New York City, you can tell there's growth there. and then also I think I shot you a picture. I was in Portland, Oregon recently, and was like walking around Slabtown and saw it there as well. So it's like I can't get away from you guys. But I guess the question would be is like, why now too? So understand why you did it, right? The growth capital side of this, to going after market, but why now?
Yeah, so there's been something interesting that's happened in ButterflyMX over many years. So the original thinking of ButterflyMX, the original vision, was to create this smart video intercom that would be ubiquitous in the property world, in the built world. And this was something that Cyrus conceived of, over 10 years ago. And that was our focus for many, many years. And then something weird happened around 2021, or not weird, but unexpected. And what was unexpected is that our clients started to come to us and say, we really love your intercom, but we don't love having you just on the outside of our building managing access into it. We would like to start using ButterflyMX throughout our building. Can you create other access-related solutions that enable access throughout the inside of a property? And because everything that we do is in service of our customers, solving their pain points, making their properties more efficient to manage, making them better to live in, to work in, to visit. When we heard this feedback from the customers, we said, well, yeah, we can go do that. And so we set out on a strategy to achieve that. So that was a combination of building new products, buying a company that was integral to what we were trying to do. It also required some new growth capital, which we did at the time. This is back in 2020 and 2021. And then fast forward to today, to 2024, we started to hear again from customers, hey, we really like your access platform. You solve for access-related needs at the front of the building, throughout the property, into the building. So basically, all the access-related use cases that a property cares about, ButterflyMX has a solution for, and clients was starting to really appreciate that. And they came to us and said, can you now do something more for us? Can you can you automate the property operations that we have outside of access? Can you do something around cameras? Can you integrate security and access? Can you automate some of the workflows that currently occur so that we can save our staff time from the mundane and the routine tasks and allow them to reallocate their time and attention to other things? And so we said, oh yeah, well, all we exist to do is make you really happy and solve your problems. So yeah, I think we can do that. And so we've been on a path to expanding our product suite, and that also required some new capital. So that catalyzed the thinking to bring in a new capital partner, accelerate the product development, expand our operations and our go-to-market into different verticals and to different markets, and that was the impetus for the transaction.
Yeah. What I was going to add is, so what's interesting is everybody inside a building starts at the outside, right? And I'm glad you and that's such a powerful thing, right? So, I think our customers recognize that, and that's why, as Aaron said, around 2021, they were like, look, can you start to deal with that visitor, that resident, whether it's somebody who works at the building, part of the on-site teams, can you help them get to wherever it is they're going? The delivery people, right? Food delivery, package delivery, et cetera. And the other thing is that I think what we're very proud about is that focus on customer, again, as Aaron said, but it's the customer experience, right? It's not just the kind of aftermarket support, it's the experience of the users. And that's not only the residents, but it's the property managers, it's the maintenance people, et cetera. And so I think they really see us as a standout, and I like to think that we really broke the mold in terms of access control, in terms of becoming consumer-centric versus the traditional kind of access control products that are geared more towards the people who manage the system or the people who manage a building. And I think they wanted more of both of that. And we responded to that by going into the building. And now this is teeing us up for the next chapter.
There's only going to be a handful of winners in the end on that end. So am I safe to assume that also has to do with this?
Yeah, Lee, I think you're exactly right. The one of the most surprising parts of the fundraising process was the number of investor groups that were keenly interested in the PropTech space. Not just interested from afar, but they've already done a lot of work. They've talked to dozens and dozens of companies. They've done a lot of the market work. They've talked to clients up and down the spectrum. They had a really deep understanding of the way that the industry is structured, the pain points, the types of solutions that exist, and the different points of traction, the unit economics, and so on and so forth. And so your first point, which is there is a lot of investor interest, is spot on. And one of the reasons why there's a lot of investor interest is it's a very large market. But the second reason there's a lot of investor interest, that market's is going through massive change right now. And it's not disruptive change, it's evolutionary change. The evolutionary change is very similar to what we've seen in other industries, right? In other industries, you've seen virtually everything go from, on-premise, quote unquote, dumb, to cloud and quote unquote smart. And obviously with the AI wave over the last couple of years, everything is now intelligent and smart and AI, but you've seen that everywhere. Well, real estate has always been a laggard industry. And over the last few years, the adoption of technology, the interest in technology in our industry has accelerated beyond anyone's wildest imaginations. And with that acceleration, it creates demand for solutions like ours and others. And that demand creates business opportunities, and those business opportunities attract investors. So as you alluded to, Lee, you got both sides of that. You got the industry going through a really important secular shift that is being driven by the technologies that exist and the adoption of them. And then you have the investor groups that are seeing that change in a big market who are looking for opportunities to invest.
Yeah. And I'm hoping people I do think there's a difference between what I would say we saw through COVID, where I think people were being somewhat opportunistic in utilizing public forms of where to put capital, to this being more about sort of with the market seeing opportunity, seeing good metrics and growth. I mean, you all are famous for the concept and idea, which again, it seems simple, but it actually makes dumb sense. It's sort of, until you have a certain amount of penetration in the marketplace, you don't expand to another area. So you actually have good metrics of growth, and it's showing the opportunity. It's also, it feels like there's a formula there that I have a feeling, some of these, I don't know, investor base, take Fifth Wall. Yeah, they understand the space because they work in it. Again, I don't know as much about FTV and some of the other ones that you have in there, but a lot of them, they need to see metrics that are repeatable in a lot of ways of how, if I sprinkle this magic stuff called money onto a business who has good operators, the end result is a multiplier of X of return of that money. And so you have those things, and you have people looking to put capital. And frankly, great with AI and the rest of it though too. It's like people are still going to live in spaces. Density is happening. This isn't an area that you're going to see less people living in buildings and doing that anyways. You got to, you travel all over the world. You see there's lack of housing, frankly, and people wanting to live in cities, even despite what the news says. And frankly, there hasn't been necessarily a slam dunk winner of who owns this marketplace. So, I mean, I guess, I know we didn't go over this prior, but it goes on. How do you view the competitive set on that? I mean, is this a winner take all type of an approach, do you think can happen? Or is it going to be heavily fragmented and there'll be a multiple how do you view when you're going through? I got to believe that's a question that people would ask when they're looking for an investment side. So if you can share, how do you view that dynamic? Because it's different than I think other spaces, this one being as fragmented as it is, and how complicated between hardware and software, right? and implementation's a pain in the ass, like all of that, right? So how do you see that competitive set and the winner take all mentality or not?
Yeah, Lee, I think you nailed it. And Cyrus, I know you're going to have a lot of thoughts on this, so I'll start and then you jump in. But Lee, I think you said the right word, the key word, which is fragmentation or fragment. The industry is really fragmented. Many industries, a lot of VCs, a lot of investors will say, if you are the category leader, most of the value of the industry will accrue to you. I don't think that's the case in our space. It is large, yes. It is also incredibly fragmented. And one of the proxies you could look at is the property management software companies that have been around now for 15 or 20 years or more. So you have companies like RealPage, Yardi, Entrata, MRI, Appfolio, Inhabit IQ. I think there's some others as well. And these are really big, really large companies. And I don't think anyone would ever point to them and say one of them dominates the market. You have like several really big companies and they've carved it up in part because the market's so fragmented. And the fragmentation, what that means is different parts of the market are looking for slightly different things, and in some cases, very different things. And you can't always be the same thing to everyone. And so you have to pick and choose what you're going to be great at. And so one of the companies might be great over here, and the other company might be great over there. And there's a lot of overlap, but they specialize in slightly different things, and that attracts different types of clients. So similar to where we play in the industry, which is more technology inside of the property as opposed to, kind of like the software that helps to manage the property. I do believe that there's going to be multiple winners. I don't think it's going to be a single winner take all. And at the moment, ButterflyMX has continued to grow very well. I think we have an opportunity to continue to be one of the leading players in the space. But it's certainly not a foregone conclusion and has everything to do with our ability to execute really well and continue to delight our customers and provide really great value to them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would totally echo that, and I think it's what's interesting is it's a lot of blocking and tackling, Lee, day in, day out, and that's the execution that Aaron alluded to, right? The thing about built world technology is it's so complicated. What people, when you talk about, switching out a light fixture at a building, people refer to it as brain damage, right? And so I guess we're neurosurgeons perhaps in that world, in the sense that we've really focused on delivering a very efficient and therefore good customer experience when it comes to that whole upfront installation piece, right? And we have something like 50,000 five-star reviews, not only because of that, but because of that consumer-centric focus on the user. Again, kind of changing the typical kind of mold of basically an access and security company, right? By focusing on the user experience, by letting the right people in, right? By kind of being this aspirational product that makes your life better. I mean, it's crazy. By the way, I was in France last year at, south of France at a friend's place and, chatting with somebody. Turned out they live in the Upper West Side. They're a ButterflyMX users. So to your point, we're everywhere. and where I'm going with that is like, look, we are fast approaching 20,000 buildings, right? And you start to have scale, right? We're now inside the building with access products and other things. And so you've earned customers' trust. You're providing a great user experience. And what else can you do? Because when you think about operational workflows, they're very much dependent on getting people in different places in the building, right? So that access infrastructure is kind of the substrate on which a lot of other things are built.
Yeah, no, the attachment sales, if you would, and opportunities that exist once you're in. That's why I love this idea. Like access control to me is a utility, and then it's like, what else can I build upon that? And it does get very interesting when you look at it. It frankly also can be very confusing because there's unlimited opportunities that you can go after with that. But the good news about being well capitalized is you have opportunities to make those decisions and go do. I guess speaking of that, it does let me believe it's like, again, like be curious in your impressions of like why you all, right? Like, you're not the first that has brought an intercom into marketplace. You'll probably not be the last, especially news like this usually sparks up other people to come out and do a twist on their end and the rest of it. But if you were to look at, what would you, if you had to distill your explanation of success, like what would be that sort of headline of why you all, and not say the 10 other before and then now the 10 other after?
Yeah, so I can speak to why we believe we've been successful, at least so far. I don't know if I can speak to why others
That's fair.
have not, but we focus on three things. Literally every single day, we talk about three things. The first and the most important is the customer. What are we doing to provide value to our customers today, yesterday, tomorrow, next week? What are we doing? And there is a organizational maniacal focus on the customer. And everything that we do, all of our motivation is in service of providing more value to our customers. Now, before I move on, the customer has a broad set of users. There is the customer who might be the owner or the manager of a building, or maybe it's the board, the HOA or condo co-op board, or maybe it's a student housing facility. So there's that type of customer. There's also the person who uses the technology every day. That's the person who lives in the building or works in the building or visits the building. There are the vendors who have to come into the building all the time to fix this or that or do something. There are the expected visitors. There are the unexpected visitors. There are the delivery people, food delivery, package delivery. There's a lot of stakeholders that we sort of wrap up in this concept of a customer, and we care about solving all of their problems, as many of their problems all the time. And we have an ethos here, which is everything we do is in service of that customer, that broad definition of a customer. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing. In our industry, we deal with some of the most important things of a building, which is access and security, which means you got to take the integrity of your products really, really seriously. They have to work not just most times, but all the time and every time. And the right person has to get into the right space at the right time all the time. And so the uptime of the operation of the platform, of the system, is really, really important. And we've invested a lot of resources and time to ensure product integrity, platform integrity, and that the products are not just up, but also solving the right problems for our broad set of customers and users. That's the second thing. And the third thing is operational excellence. When you are a small company, every single moment is about clawing your way to a place where you can control your own destiny, right? Whenever you have to rely on third-party investors to keep the lights on, you are giving up control over your own company and over your own destiny. And so you have to move fast. You have to operate as flawlessly as possible, learn from the mistakes really, really quickly, not make them again. And you need to have the knowledge that comes into one part of your organization very quickly transmit to the rest of your organization so everyone can get better from that nugget of knowledge so that future decisions get made better and better and better. And if you can operate with great excellence, and you have a great focus on your customers, and you build solutions that your customers value because they solve real problems for your customers, and those solutions are always available for the customers when the customer needs them. That has always been sort of the way that we've thought about success here, and we keep 100% of our attention on those three things all the time.
Yeah. And Lee, I would just add, I think for us, we kind of view ourselves as coming out of the real estate industry as opposed to being technologists who are parachuting in. And I think that kind of mindset of again, it goes back to what Aaron was saying, customer, 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 right? Really understanding what the real workflow is on site at the property. What are the things they're struggling with? What is the reality of a property manager or user's life, right? You have to send somebody to meet the sprinkler inspector, once a month. Okay, how can we kind of automate that process where you don't need to do that, but you have the assurance that the guy has been there and where he's been, right? So it's kind of that detailed understanding of how property operations work and how technology can solve those things in a way, right, that makes everybody's experience, whether they're the owner of the building, the property manager, or that vendor, right, improved.
Yeah. No doubt. I definitely think, I do think too, solving it in New York also helps, because it's you solve it there, you can probably replicate that in a lot of marketplaces that are outside of it as well. So,
well, you know what, if I could actually kind of,
please.
beg to differ on that. I think
Okay.
that, one of the interesting, like, New York is the best market by far, right, in the United States. It's the largest, right? The rents are the highest, et cetera. But I do think that this market is such an outlier. There's the broker, because the market inefficiency, or it's so big, there's the inefficiency where it requires the broker, right, on information when you're buying or leasing a place. Whereas you go outside New York, the leasing folks work for the owner, right? And I'll give you a quick example. When we developed the intercom, we looked around and said, hey, there's one entrance on every building in New York, right? Because the buildings are so densely packed.
Yeah.
Well, right, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
You get out into any other city, there's a back and a front entrance. And so, okay, well, what happens when you get two calls coming in, et cetera, et cetera? Not going to bore you with all the technical stuff. But I just wanted to kind of...
No, that's fair.
Yeah, but obviously you can have a flourishing business here. And it is our core market, so...
Yeah, I guess I totally agree. The complexity it's different type. And it is nice, though, to have it as a...
backyard. That's
people
right.
look at it as the market, that if you solve it there, it can be. Plus, it's a great billboard for you. I guess one other thing that is highlighted by the two of you being here, and you mentioned before, and I'm remiss now that I didn't think about it prior, but it's not common that you see the founding person, move and allow somebody come in as a CEO and right. Like, can you speak a little bit about that? Because it worked clearly here for you all, right? So if I'm watching this and I'm an entrepreneur or somebody that's looking, like, can you speak a little bit to how that came about and why you believe it's worked versus there's plenty of founders that don't have, I would say, the self-awareness to do that and have run their businesses into the ground. Right. So, like, talk a little bit about that dynamic, because I do think that's an important part of the story of the success of where you're at today. The other one is, if you don't mind, just in what I know about the two of you, and I'll simplify this, and you can tell me that I'm wrong or right of that. But like Cyrus, you come from the real estate business, you understand the hardware clearly, or you learned it, or you did it over time, whatever. But you've been on the side. Aaron, you had a software background, if I'm not mistaken, too. So I think people oversimplify the complexity of hardware, software, and just the different ways that you all have come up. Has that helped? So I guess a twofer on that one. Two questions built into one. Like, first, the relationship, and then the dynamic between the two of you. Is that, how that's helped?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say there's a ton of complementarity between us, right? Like, look, I'm,
You could also tell all the dirty laundry. There's no reason to, like, hug each other.
Of course,
No,
but, like, look, I'm fundamentally, always have been. In third grade, I was, I opened a casino in my neighbor's basement, right? So I've always been...
I've seen Boiler Room, yeah.
Something like that, a little bit nicer. It was a finished basement. So shout out to Josh Silverman if he's watching. So, but I've fundamentally just always been kind of, I think, a product guy in a lot of respects. And obviously, a risk taker, leaning into that, right? So no sense of the actual risk, and no sense of the actual effort, because obviously that's what kind of leads you into the breach, right? And a lot of people don't get out of the breach on the other side. And so, and I just always, I was the guy in my family who was like, okay, you need to program the DVR. That was me, right? I could have been a programmer because I feel like I can hold 10 streams of thought in my head simultaneously, right, to solve something. So that was really, and even when I founded ButterflyMX, Kunal Shah, who's not here with us, or other folks who are part of the founding team, were each really good at what they did, and they each brought their own strong vision, and Aaron's background is software, but it's also like, look, he went to HBS. He's one of the smartest guys and hardest working guys I know. I have the attention span of, it's longer than a gnat, but it's not as long as an elephant or something like that, somewhere in between, right? But that's okay, because like, we all have our value that we bring into something. We're all passionate. We're all really smart people, and I think I was great for doing all these things, and Aaron does all these things. You cannot underestimate how hard this guy works. If he hadn't been here, we wouldn't have had this deal or the one before it, right? So I think there's a great complementarity, and we're both really nice people. I don't know why or how. Look, it's like you can't control timing. When you said there were companies before and companies, yeah, there was a company before. They had Vistacount or something like that. They had a server in the basement, right, and a touchscreen out front. That wasn't my idea. My idea was one box. Keep it simple. Very much channeling Steve Jobs, right? And to Aaron's point, not just for that end user using the mobile app, but every stakeholder, right, is important. And that's, I think, a Steve Jobs kind of attitude about things. So, I think it was just, we were very fortunate, and so while he took over the reins of the company, I've had a chance to thrive and think about big things, and and I feel great. I feel like I'm in a good place right now in terms of my life, my career, and I owe a lot to him, and I'm just really thankful, so.
That's great.
Yeah, I can add a little bit from the perspective that I lived through. The transition 5 years ago was really smooth, but it was smooth because there was a lot of trust, and there was a lot of trust, that we had built up over a couple of years. And I remember saying to Cyrus that that one of the conditions of me joining in a more full-time way would be Cyrus stay right by my side. And I think that was, very welcome. I don't think Cyrus wanted not to be by our side. But Cyrus has always been the visionary of the company and continues to be the visionary of the company. And he's got and had built tremendous relationships and industry knowledge and company specific insights and knowledge that I needed to learn a lot from Cyrus in order to be good at what I was doing. So joining was very smooth, in part because there was a trust. I also needed Cyrus to really be an advisor, a consigliere, a partner to me and to the organization, which Cyrus has done tremendously well. I think the last piece of it, Cyrus alluded to a little bit, we are really nice for sure. There's also a level of tremendous maturity that Cyrus demonstrated, right? Anytime someone on the team who was used to going to Cyrus about one thing or another, Cyrus would say, that's a great question. Here's a few thoughts of mine. You should go talk to Aaron. So there was a real respect on what the roles were, so that the organization wasn't going to get confused. And I think that then leads to like the final thought here, which is, all the success that we've had, all the things that we've done, even the things that we've done poorly, like everything that we've done is a result of the team and of the culture, right? Companies are nothing more than just a group of people working really hard and passionately, towards a common goal. And we've built a tremendous team with a tremendous culture. But that team and the essence of that culture started 10 years ago with Cyrus and his co-founders, Kunal and some others. And all we've done was just basically take this amazing thing that they built, and we tried not to mess it up. And and we've grown it really nicely, and the culture that we've built is one of passion for our clients, for our solutions, for what we try to do for them, dedication to each other, and kindness and collaboration, and a belief that every single day we should be operating a little bit better than we did yesterday. And so that's like the real driver. You asked earlier about why we've been successful. That's like the real driver behind all of the success so far.
Yeah, no, we'll see.
Lee, I just want to interject one last thing. So send Aaron some love. But he's a very humble person, and it's true, who brings that attitude towards everybody. And I think that we have a very unique company culture, which is really thanks to Aaron. I think, because he really dives deep into everything. He's a collaborator with all people, and he really works to bring the best out of people and find consensus and supportive. And so I think people thrive in this environment. And so we're really fortunate. And yeah, look, maybe I pushed the boat off the shore, but he's certainly put his stamp on it, and he's the captain right now. So, I think we're both just very fortunate to be here. So.
Yeah, no doubt, and I do want to leave it on this note because I think it's a good note to leave it on that end. But I would say that part of the reason why I wanted to do this was these press releases, and we celebrate people when they raise money for an organization. But actually, I think what's lost in that message sometimes is the work and the journey that got you to be here, and that's actually the bigger story. Is that the decisions that you made yesterday are the reason why you can raise the money that you did today, and a lot of it is the culture. They're good and bad, frankly, that come through it. And as an outsider who likes to believe he understands you and your business a bit, I can be a testament to it. There is something different about the culture that you all have created. The people that have been, you two specifically, as well as on the team, you've always been open, whereas a lot of people are closed. You've always been curious and asking questions. You give and you take. Like, it's been a very different feel, which I don't think is by accident to see the results that you're having. It doesn't show up necessarily as a metric or a KPI in a lot of ways that you do, but it's like that secret, sauce of that, or something that goes into the sauce to make it that much better. So it's a testament, I think, to the two of you. It's a testament to the people that were, like you said, that aren't there anymore, but did make the decisions back then to put you in this. And then also it's unbridled opportunity moving forward, which I think is even more exciting in a lot of ways to see where this goes next. So congratulations to you both. Congratulations to the company, and good on, all the people that have been involved along the way and are now in the boat that was pushed off the shore and then now paddled by Aaron. But so thank you both very much. I appreciate you giving me the chance to do this. The conversation's always great, and I'm excited to see what you guys do next.
Lee, thanks so much for having us. It's always great to see you and to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to see you, buddy.
Thank you.